The hour being 6 o'clock on Monday, May 27th, 2025. I'd like to call to order the City of Laconia City Council budget meeting.
It's Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday, right. Yeah, Tuesday, May 27th, 2026, day after Memorial Day. Yes, thank you. Before we go any further, though, I'd ask that you all join Councilor Hoffman in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to get my budget book.
I'm joined by Katie Gargano, our city clerk, and recording secretary. I'd ask her to please call the roll.
Counselor Cheney.
Yeah, here.
Counselor Susie.
Here.
Counselor Hoffman.
Present.
Counselor Haynes.
Here.
Counselor Bogert.
Here.
Counselor Crouch.
Here.
Mayor Husser.
Present. We have a quorum. We're also joined at council table by City Manager Kirk Beatty and Finance Director Glenn Smith. Our presentations tonight, agenda item number 6A, the department budget presentation from the fire department. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm going to go over the fire department's 25-26 fiscal year proposed budget, talk about some of the successes, some of the things that we're trying to accomplish, and some of the places that we want to go. But first and foremost, I would like to thank the council, the mayor, city manager for supporting our organization. In the 2.5 years that I've been with the fire department, we've accomplished some amazing things. Our primary goal is to make a difference each and every time we go on a call. We deal with people on their worst days. With your support, we've been able to do that, and hopefully we can continue to do that. So our organizational makeup, in front of you is the organizational chart. You'll see that you have, obviously at the top, the city manager, followed by myself. There's an office manager, and as we all know, they're the ones who really run the show. So Mary Ellen does an amazing job for us. We have an assistant chief in charge of operations. Then we have 2 deputy chiefs. During my short time here, I've had the fortune, I guess you could say, of serving both roles as chief and fire prevention deputy chief and EMS deputy chief. And I got to learn the jobs in the city of Laconia. Now that we have 2 highly qualified individuals running those programs, we're doing some amazing things. The EMS, Emergency Medical Services Deputy Chief, has the community paramedic that we'll talk more about in a second. And the Deputy Chief of Fire Prevention has a part-time inspector and a fire prevention coordinator. Now we go down to the shifts. These are the people that have the boots on the ground. They're the ones who interact with our public. They're the ones who really make a difference. We have a 4-platoon system. Each platoon has 10 cross-trained firefighters and EMTs. Each platoon has an officer. There's an officer at the central station and an officer at the Weir station. If we're running at full staff, we have 10 people on duty, 7 at central, including the officer, and 3 in the Weirs, including the officer. So these are kind of our marching orders. Every day, we try to do what's best. Do your best. Do what's right. The golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And at the end, always ask yourself, what is in the best interest of the people we serve? So I'd like to go over some of the success and progress we've made over the last couple of years, and obviously some of the biggest things are the vehicle purchases and acquisitions. We currently have 2 ambulances on order with a possible delivery date of March 26th of 2026. We have an engine on order being built with an anticipated delivery date of October 2025, so this fall. A new ladder truck with an anticipated delivery date of November of 2025. So our fall will be very busy with new vehicle acquisitions and a lot of training. And just some visuals of what these look like. This is what our ambulance will look like. It's an F550 chassis. We have 2 of them. They'll be replacing a 2007 and a 2012. An engine. This is a drawing of our engine that's being built right now. They'll be replacing a 1991 Sutphen engine. And then the new ladder. That is going to be replacing a 1998 American LaFrance ladder truck. So this is near and dear to my heart. This is something that I've been passionate about since I've been here. I felt like the community needed this program in place, and this is the Mobile Integrated Health Program. So for 2 years, I was knocking on every door to see if we could gain some traction and figure out how to make this work. The goal of this program is to treat people at the right place, at the right time, and try to avoid an unnecessarily ambulance ride and an emergency room visit. So, we worked with the Partnership for Public Health, gave them all kinds of data and information, and they were able to receive a grant, 3-year grant, through Health Resources and Services Administration. This funds the Mobile Integrated Health Program, or our community paramedic. The grand total for that grant is $450,000. Funds it in full for 3 years. We started seeing patients last month. So far, we have 43 patient contacts. That's our community paramedic, going to people's homes, going to businesses, treating people where they really need to be treated, working with our other organizations, like our VNAs and our other social services. We're getting referrals now through Concord Hospital, Laconia Hospital. We'll soon get referrals through Health First and some of the other services in our communities. It is working and it is making a difference.
We'll go back. Counselor Susie.
I'm sorry, do you have a question?
We'll go back. We can finish your presentation and we'll go
Okay.
back just.
Fire prevention, community risk reduction. We've done amazing things. Deputy Luttrell is now in charge of prevention and risk reduction and has modernized and updated it and made a consistent program. They're in charge of inspections, investigations, public education, fireground operations and accountability, and plans review. Just some of the bullet points. Last year, they did 1,330 inspections and plan reviews. Some of those examples: we have a part-time inspector that's been with us for 6 months. Who accomplished 507 mechanical inspections. Prior to the arrival of this individual, we had our platoons and our shift personnel doing these inspections, 40 sets of different eyes trying to do these inspections, going back and forth after calls. There was a lack of consistency. We have that now. 174 multifamily rental property inspections. This is something that we were lacking. Our part-time inspector is amazing, does a great job, and has a great rapport with our property owners. 100 place of assembly inspections and 223 plans reviews. We can see by driving through the city of Laconia that there's building going on. It's going to continue to be going on. The need for these services are only going to increase, and they're doing amazing work. EMS, this is what we do 75% of the time. Our new EMS deputy chief is Scott Lewandowski. Just like Deputy Luttrell, Deputy Lewandowski has brought great passion and organization to our EMS program. On staff, we currently have 18 paramedics, 5 which are rapid sequence intubation certified. We have 2 that are finishing up their classrooms right now and getting ready to test for paramedic. We have 24 advanced EMTs. Just some call information. We've had 6 rapid sequence intubations in the last year since we've had this program in place. 6 cardiac arrest saves. 32 direct transports to Concord Hospital for heart attack, trauma, and pregnancy. And we saved somebody in the river. Making a difference. We are a very busy department. Busiest department north of Concord. Well, we have seen a reduction in call volume. And I think that's due to some of the programs that we have in place. But our 4-year average is 4,600 calls. There is no downtime. We'll talk about that a little bit in the next few slides. The boots hit the floor at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're busy all day and all night. If it's not going on calls, it's other responsibilities, it's training and education. A couple line increases that I just wanted to discuss with you is our extra duty coverage for training. Training is a priority for our organization. If you look at the picture, you'll see that there's a yellow or orange shield on their helmet, and it has the letter P. That stands for probation. As we start to go through some of these other slides, you'll see more and more people with that shield. A probationary firefighter is a new firefighter with 1 year less of experience trying to learn the craft and learn the Laconia Fire Department. You'll see that we have a lot of those right now. So in the last year, Our personnel have taken driver operator courses, firefighter 2 programs, instructor 1, company officer, ice rescue, swift water, engineering company operations. We even had a live training fire that we did, and paramedic and advanced EMT classes. Physicals. Every year we try to create an even more comprehensive physical for our personnel. Firefighters are at a high risk of getting cancer. 9% higher than the U.S. population, and 4% higher risk of dying than the U.S. population. And listed below are some of the highest rates for the types of cancers that firefighters receive or get. We belong to a robust mutual fire aid system called the Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid Association. It comprises 35 communities. These communities work together. So when you see a significant incident in Laconia, you'll probably see Guilford. You'll see Belmont, maybe even Meredith. We work together through this relationship in this mutual aid agreement. We have dedicated fire and EMS dispatching. It provides system-wide training programs for all the departments that are in the system. And at times, we can even benefit from bulk purchasing. One of the big reasons for this increase, it happened last year, is they included call volume. Emergency response incidents. So, on average, Laconia goes to 4,600 emergency incidents. Let's use the Hebron Fire Department, goes to 66 emergency incidents. The usage is a little bit different. Obviously, we're the biggest, we use it the most, so now that is a factor in the way that they determine the fee structure.
Would you say that again?
They use call data and emergency response incidents as now part of their fee structure for the Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. So the example that I used was Hebron versus Laconia.
What are those numbers?
So we average around 4,600 emergency incidents a year, and Hebron maybe 100 or less. And all the other line increases are just due to an increase in cost of services or products. Just like everything, it doesn't get cheaper. So, we've made a lot of progress, done a lot of great things. But we do have some areas that we need to continue to work on and strive for. And one of them is training. We have a significant amount of new personnel over the past 4 years. As you can see, we have 8 members currently on probation. So they're within their first year of employment with the Laconia Fire Department. We have 5 members that just came off probation. We have 6 members with 2 to 3 years of experience, and 4 members with 3 to 4 years of experience. We have great, outstanding people with high character. We want to keep them, but we need to get them to the level of training so they can do their job. One of my future goals is to try to develop a training facility where both the Weirs and downtown companies can train while on duty, being on duty, and still have the ability to respond to calls. The picture up above on the left-hand side is just 4 Connex boxes that personnel use to train while on duty. If a call comes in, they can stop, leave everything right there, and go to their emergency. They don't have to worry about damaging buildings. It's meant for firefighter training. And my hope is to fund the training building through fundraising. So before we go into this next slide, I just would like to talk to you about the transition and the turnover that we've had over the last couple of years. The last year, we've lost some quality people, but we've lost people for the right reason. Not to go to another department to make more money, not to do less calls. We lost people for promotion. They became chief officers in other organizations. One became a flight medic because it's been their dream forever. Some had family obligations that they just had to meet and couldn't do it while working in Laconia. It's terrible to lose anybody, but I can accept losing them for those reasons. One last concern that I have is the mental health of our fire personnel. I became a chief officer 10 years ago, and I really wasn't aware of the importance of mental health. As fire service professionals, we just kind of joke about it and turn the other cheek and not really discuss it at all. As a chief officer, I've had several of the personnel who worked under me have significant incidents related to mental health. The Laconia Fire Department has done an outstanding job of supporting mental health, but the fire service in general is reactive towards it. It's after something happens that we support that individual and try to make it better. I think we need to be more proactive about mental health. First responders see some bad things. They deal with some tough situations. It's not easy. I think a proactive approach will help alleviate, hopefully, future issues, to identify things that are going on in individuals, helping families out, is really, really important. The data here is through the International Association of Fire Chiefs. It's real. It's vetted. I see these numbers, and I just shake my head. So moving forward as an organization, I like to try to identify or find a way to support that. In 2017, law enforcement passed a Mental Health and Wellness Act in 2017. And what that supports is annual or biannual wellness checks. Just checking in to see how things are doing. It's not therapy, it's just a contracted service for wellness checks. And if that individual needs additional help, can provide the resources to that person. I think the fire service needs to start taking that same approach. Again, I just want to say thank you for your support. It's been amazing. We don't normally stand in front of burning buildings with smiles on our face. This was a training, so it was allowed. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have, and if I don't have the answer, I'll make sure that I get it for you and get back in touch.
Chief, thank you. Thanks for being open to some questions. Counselor Susie.
Thanks, Chief. And first, the questions are not, they're in a way, how to justify a lot of the budget.
Okay.
On the paramedic program that you got going on, you had 43 calls?
43 patient contacts,
43
yes.
cases that you saw?
Actually, it's 48 right now.
Okay.
A couple more today.
As we move forward, I'd just like to see, when you give us the report the manager puts together monthly, I'd like to see a breakdown of 43. What kind of calls were they on, okay? Did we have, I mean, I know the paramedic goes out. How many cases you gotta send an ambulance out afterwards because
Sure.
they requested one for one reason or the other?
Sure.
Just looking at data, okay, because no doubt in my mind, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, or 5 years from now, somebody's gonna say, how did the data affect us not having to send a full complement out, okay? That's all.
I do think with some of the potential federal cuts taking place, that some social services are going to have a reduction in funds, and this program is even going to become more valuable.
Right. I mean, I think all of us here at this table, I know, we're all totally supportive of it. I think it's awesome, okay? The other thing, next question, if I may, Mr. Mayor. You get a part-time inspector, 2 different part-time inspectors. Is that equal one full-time person, or is it 2 different people?
Nope, it's one person who works 24 hours a week.
Okay.
And that individual does both the mechanical inspections and the multifamily inspections.
Okay, now, when they go through inspections and they find violations, how are those handled?
So our part-time inspector, his name is Matt O'Neill. He's amazing. Well educated in fire prevention and risk reduction. Every property owner has an inspection checklist, so they know what we're looking for prior to the inspection. Everything that meets the life safety code is in there. So part of Matt's job is education as well as enforcement. So we're working with these property owners to make sure we get to that goal of having everything in place. So very rarely do we have issues where things don't get taken care of and people are not compliant.
Okay, because that was my follow-up question. If you find the things that are non-compliant, you gotta fix this. You gotta go back and check and make sure it gets fixed.
Correct.
Is there a statute or anything that if people don't get fixed, There's something that they can fall back on?
Yeah, so we have a fire prevention ordinance that has all that information in it, so yes, we could do
Write a
fines.
ticket or something, you know?
Correct.
Okay.
Usually Matt will do the inspections, he'll give 30 days to take care of any issues. If he needs to work with somebody, he'll work with somebody as long as it's fair and consistent.
Okay, and then one last question, and this is, maybe this is not pertaining to just the fire department. I'm just wondering about the, two questions actually. One is your power budget went up like $3,000, okay? Maybe this is more towards the city manager or Council Hoffman. What is the status on us going to that new electric supplier? We might be able to save that money. That's what popped up in my head when I saw that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that we're all set up to switch over to community power, but right now the Eversource rate is below the community power rate.
Okay,
So
right.
we're set to switch over as soon as the community power rate becomes cheaper than Eversource.
Okay,
And if,
I'm just,
and I'll also throw in that the city actually purchases electricity differently than just the meter and being read and paid. So our rates are different than average rates anyhow because of our volume that we purchase. So if we were to switch over, we may actually not, it may not mean anything to us anyhow at that point.
okay.
So,
I was doing not just, I was using it as a catalyst to find out the information, because I hadn't heard any updates recently. And then one more item, Smith. On the mutual aid, which I think is great, and I understand, you know, the calls here in Laconia at 4,600 thereabouts, and Hebron, 40 or 50. So is it a set program, like you have a call that comes in, that Laconia takes care of itself, and then if it goes to a highest, is that when you bring in other towns? I mean, is it?
It really depends on the type of call. So let's say we have a building fire right now, we have automatic aid or automatic response, which is Guilford and Belmont. Then we
Okay.
go on alarms based on the need and the urgency, so bringing in other towns. Water rescue on the lake. We're gonna get towns with boats, they're all gonna go, we're gonna go as well.
You need a new motor.
We do,
Some-
yes, we do need that.
I know.
But the Lake Street Mutual Fire Aid Association has been around for a long time. It's sustainable. It just, they needed a new way and a fair way to figure out how to come up with a formula that was consistent throughout the entire 35 communities.
Okay, and in the opposite direction, you cover for a lot of other towns. In other words, if Belmont has a fire, you're gonna go out there if they, okay, so it works both ways.
Yes, it's reciprocal, correct.
Okay, I just wanna make sure people understand that, because, the mutual aid, I think, is an awesome situation. I just wanna, okay. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome, thank you.
Counselor Bogan.
Thank you. On the ladder truck that we're purchasing, what would be the safest height if you had optimum positioning of the truck? What is the height that could safely take care of a fire on a building?
It's a 100-foot aerial ladder. So depending on the angle, the grade, the setbacks, we could raise it all the way up.
Is that directly vertical, 100 feet, or is that?
It can go out 100 feet, it can go up 100 feet, it can go down below grade 100 feet, depending on where it's being set up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, as you go into this and look into the situation as far as mental health, are you going to get back to us with some concrete suggestions on, because that's one of my concerns, and I know that, a lot of organizations have debriefing and the whole works, but sometimes it carries on further, so I'm just,
Yeah, I would absolutely love to have that conversation. Right now, I mean, there's no funding for any improvement on it, but I'd love to have that conversation with everyone.
well, this council thinks it's very important, so.
If I could just throw something in on that.
Sure.
One of the things that I know the union talked to the chief about, they talked to me during negotiations, was to, if we have it in their union contract, is to, once the dust settles from the contracts and the budget, is to have a committee between the city and the fire department on mental health procedurally. How do we, if we have a problem, how do we move forward and all that? So that was brought up in negotiations with the chief and with me, and it is moving forward, at least with open discussions about it.
That's great, but, we need to stay on top of that, because that is important.
No, I agree.
Thank you,
I
Chief.
know, I've done a little research. Out-of-pocket costs for, a wellness check is between $400 and $500 twice a year. So you add 40-plus personnel to it. Yeah, it's kind of give you an idea. But the key is to try to get ahead of it and deal with it prior to something happening. It's a little nerve-wracking to get that phone call that something bad happened to somebody and you didn't catch it in time. That's what we're trying to avoid.
So get back to us when,
Absolutely.
whatever we can do.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
So one of your lieutenants reached out to me to talk about the chaplain position. I didn't really get a chance to talk to him because I think a minute after I sat down to talk to him.
That was
we had
not staged, by the way. That's
Yeah,
we had like
run out on
5
a
calls
call.
at the same time, including a
But-
building fire.
I think he seemed to indicate that it was pretty important to a lot of the people at the station, and that from a mental health aspect, it was good to have somebody to talk to. And I think what he was getting at is that it's currently an unfunded position. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And that he would like to see that, maybe funded. Is that something you're looking at for this budget, or?
I would definitely support that. Yes, that'd be fantastic. I can say this: our chaplain has now established an office on the 3rd floor, and there isn't a day that goes by where someone's not in that room with him, talking with the door closed. The data that we're going to get from this is going to be amazing. But I can say honestly, on a daily basis, there's people in and out of there all the time. And it's different than talking to a peer, right? Like, you can talk to your friends, but to have somebody that has the ability to listen, to be unbiased, and help you and point you in the right direction, I think it just means everything.
I would think that, if we're going to look at things to improve mental health, we should certainly consider funding things that exist and are working now.
So I was able to sit down and talk with him. Definitely a program that we should definitely be looking at. He does a great job. I can sit down with you and tell you some of the stories that they told me. It was him and another firefighter. But it's definitely something that, right now he's doing it for free.
Right.
But it's a situation where we're not gonna have that forever, and he should be getting paid, So, yeah, we should definitely discuss that, whether that could go to a committee or whatever to have that discussion.
Yeah, we're scheduling a finance subcommittee to talk about the budget in a couple of weeks, and we can certainly add that. The chief did bring it to my attention, and we have had these discussions with a few different people. It's just fitting in what we can try to fit into you, and then you guys can make the adjustments, and we can try to work on it. So that's what we're here for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, you and I approached you a short time ago and talked about, we tried to take care of the staff this past year, and I asked you to give me some information about you and the deputy chief, and there's two other.
We have an assistant chief and 2 deputy chiefs.
And I got the impression, my memory, which at the moment isn't as good as it ought to be, my memory is that there is a little shortness as it relates to other towns and cities in this area. Can you fill the council in on where in the budget you fixed that problem?
Well, yes. So the wage and compensation plan that came out definitely supported our chief officers. I think that you will not hear any complaints from me about that. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I think the city of Laconia is the biggest city in the Lakes region, and I think the salaries and benefits reflect that now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Remind me to talk to you.
Chief, thank you. Thank you for the, and this is by no means a reflection on the previous chief at all.
That's not what you said this the other day.
But certainly, you taking over the department I think has been remarkable for this city. I mean, I think before you took over, we had a remarkable fire department. But I think you took very good and moved it to excellent in so many respects. And I can see it having been invited to the promotional ceremonies and the environment, the morale, the camaraderie is extraordinary. And I would say that anybody who has any mild interest in the fire service, if they were to attend one of those ceremonies, and they would get the pride that resonates through that room, and certainly it did through me as well. And, you know, the idea that the call volume here at 4,600 is about 12 calls per 24 hours. So this is very, very busy. And I think this council did the right thing, certainly last year, in moving the wage and compensation scale to reflect not only the professional nature of your operation and where you've taken it, but certainly the idea that we are very busy and we need to make sure that the men and women that we call 911 for are compensated so they stay. You know, the idea of recruiting people is great, but the idea of retaining people after you've made that initial investment of 1 year or 2 years in training, they finally get the skills that we can all depend on, and you in particular, we want to keep them on board. And certainly I think this next step that you've talked about is, you know, you don't want to hear this, but I think of it as trauma. And you're professionals, you get used to it, you show up, you do your work, you move on to the next call. But that traumatic impact is there. And the idea that you want a fire department that is a little more proactive when it comes to the men and women of the fire service being able to process, to share what's going on in their life, what they may be experiencing professional, I think is probably a continued excellent investment in your service. So I hope that this discussion is continued by the council, and this is something as Councilor Haynes said, it's great to talk about it, but it's more important to act on it. So looking forward to the new vehicles coming into the city. Congratulations on what's going on at the department. Really appreciate your work, and please share that with all of your firefighters as well.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Moving on right now, thank you. A budget presentation from our Parks and Recreation Department.
It's a hard act to follow.
Yeah, really, there should be a break or something, a little
Right,
recess,
yeah,
right?
everybody
I
just,
only think he does okay as chief, by the way. I don't want to. I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in.
Yeah. It's like we got to put more oxygen back in this room so you can heat up here. All right.
thank you all. I think you all are familiar with me, but maybe not as much with the gentleman with me. To my right is Matt Manser. He's the assistant director, and to my left is Dane Anderson, who is our foreman and the bringer of the magic for the fields. So I just wanted to introduce them. They're here for questions if you have them. Matt's going to help me with the presentation, but anytime, if you have questions, we're here. All right. So, Parks and Rec. And facilities. So just a couple of things that we'd like to start off with for the fiscal year 2026. Just some points of pride for us, some challenges that we've had, both positive and negative, as well as just the budget numbers and what we've asked for in the CIP. So a couple of the points of pride is the Levitt Park upgrades. We have the new playground and the walking path is completed. The flooring and the lighting upgrades are completed in the park house. We still have an ADA accessible push button for an entrance into the park house. The gazebo's coming in June, and the AV equipment will be coming after the gazebo is installed. The Bond Beach bathhouse is completed, as well as the Robbie Mills scoreboard is up. The Robbie Mills scoreboard was interesting because we were able to work well with the city, the school department, You all gave us a budget of $10,000 to replace that, and as everything does, it came in higher than the $10,000. The school department put in the remainder, the $1,500, and actually got us in touch with an electrician, and they did the work for free. So it was great collaboration. Matt?
Some special events that we ran this year. We had Christmas caroling, Easter egg hunt, Ukrainian egg decorating, a pumpkin carving event, cardboard sled race, and a sledding party bonfire. We had an ice skating party prepped and ready to go, but then it got warm that week. Ice not good to skate on, so that one didn't make it through. Some of the ongoing programs that we have at the gym, pickleball as always, even though we've got the club pickleball that opened up in Belmont, numbers have dropped a little bit. Kind of that demand that we've told you about every year has been kind of satiated a little bit. So, but we're still getting people coming in. We have adult pickup basketball on Tuesday nights, and we started a Laconia Adult Basketball League this year on Thursday nights. It started off a little rocky, but it has like plateaued out, and it's been pretty good. So playoffs are Thursday if you're interested. We have a Tiny Tykes program that's Wednesday and Fridays at lunchtime for kids 0 to 5, so like preschool age to come in, especially in the wintertime, when there's not a lot of places to get out and run around. So that's the idea there. And then we still have our school open gyms and our O-Pee-Chee day camp. We're hoping in this next fiscal year to create some kind of hiking or birding club. We're in the Lakes region. I think this could be a pretty cool spot for some birding. Some cornhole tournaments, some beginner pickleball lessons, because we're still getting those people coming in who are looking for it. And now that the demand on the courts isn't as aggressive, now we can teach some people how to play pickleball, and that might be kind of our contribution to the pickleball community here in the Lakes region. And then I'm talking to somebody about a yoga wellness program tomorrow, so I'm hoping that we can put that into fruition. And then we have, we still want to talk about our consistent large-scale events. The 4th of July celebration has been a huge, large-scale event that has been successful the last few years, and this year was included. And this coming year is also included. Our Weirs Beach facilitation, we'll see in a minute some numbers that are going to Weirs Beach, and just the amount of people that are going to Weirs, that we consider that a large-scale success. And then community support through park and field maintenance. Talking about Weirs Beach facilitation, just for lack of a better term, we're continuing to get really good feedback about the cleanliness, the hospitality, the vibe of the beach there. Last year we had less than 3 phone calls, to Laconia Police Department, and I mean, a number of years ago that would have been a good weekend, right? But like for that to be the whole summer, that's phenomenal. We think one of the factors was that mobile camera tower that the police have. They left it there after Bike Week, and the big camera with the LPD stickers everywhere was great for us to be like, hey, and then we had another year of a large number of patrons who went to the beach as well. We had an organization that reached out to us about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, so right after last year's budget presentation, and what they do is they track like visitations and movements and that kind of stuff. And they reached out to us because we had high numbers at Weirs Beach. So we didn't take them up on their services, but we did screenshot a bunch from that meeting. And we're looking at about 120,000 people visiting Weirs Beach. Their geo map was on the beach, and it may be a little bit on Lakeside Ave, but we did another one with Lakeside Ave, and that number was sky high, right? So this is the beach itself. So it's almost 120,000 people visiting Weirs Beach, or visits to Weirs Beach, and almost 90,000 of them unique visitors. So that was an interesting number to come through there. You can see here just weekends where we're peaking out over 3,000 people on the beach. So it's, once again, large scale. And then this picture right here, you can see that the majority of where people are coming from are that Route 3 I-93 corridor coming on up to us. But what I found really interesting is that if you put, I almost did this, if you put the Connecticut River right on there, everybody east of the Connecticut River is coming to us. The west of it, I have an idea where they're going, but it's just interesting that that's kind of the line of demarcation right there.
The Connecticut River?
Yeah, right down Vermont, New Hampshire, the border there, and
Yeah.
cutting through, right?
Right, yeah, sure.
It actually even cuts down where the Connecticut River kind of makes a little curve in Connecticut. It follows that. It's really interesting. Okay, on to the community support that we do through our parks and fields. The school department is our number one client, we'll call them. We are basically the lifeline for their athletics, anything outside. Any practice field or game field that they have other than the turf field behind the high school itself is our responsibility. So every single one of these sports either has practice or games that we maintain the fields for. Maintaining meaning mowing, lining, field prep, cleaning bathrooms, structural issues that might come up, irrigation, all of that is all included in this. So they are our number one users. But then we have a significant number of nonprofit sports leagues, both youth and adults, who use our facilities. Now, almost every single one of these are maintained by us. There are a couple that do prep their own fields, such as Little League. They kind of do their own thing, but everyone else, we maintain the fields for them. And we have 4 new ones in the last 2 years. We've had 4 new youth leagues come through, and it's basically baseball and softball. And then we have the nonprofit social organizations that we also support. Now the Laconia Pumpkin Festival used to be the New Hampshire Pumpkin Festival, and we did support them as well. We're just putting in our logo because we want to. But we support in multiple different ways, whether it's helping with a program that they're offering or just giving a facility. Those are the different ways that we're supporting. And then, of course, our number ones are our local residents. I'm sorry, but I love that picture. Aren't they cute? I'm sorry. Challenges that we have, and I'm sure we're not unique, but challenges, like I said before, can be positive and they can be negative. So one of the negative ones is the condition that our parks are being left in sometimes, and the picture on the right, it shows that enough. Another challenge of ours is recreation program instructors, and we'll go through that a little bit more. And then a positive challenge is the Laconia Pumpkin Fest, which we are going to rock. So they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Here's multiple thousands. It's basically something that we're not. It's not something we can plan for. That we have a situation at one of the parks, but we have to be ready to fix it on a moment's notice. These are things that we haven't hired out to do. There are larger scale situations that we have had to hire out for. These are things that we've done, and some of them take multiple days because they're frozen into the ground and there's layers on top of layers. The bucket on the bottom right is 17 used needles that we've picked up at the Laconia Sledding Hill. It's just things that are a challenge to our department.
Not as much of a challenge as that. Just hiring our program instructors. There's a few different ways to run a program. First, non-instructor led programs. You know, that's our pickleball, our tiny tykes, our basketball, our school open gyms. They use the gym. They go in there. We might have a gym attendant, but for the most part, it's self-run. Next is the use of an outside instructor who brings their own liability insurance, and that covers, they put the city of Laconia as co-insured. That is all of our youth sports, right? So that's our biggest, if you count all the youth sports, that's the biggest kind of way we do it. But we also have an advanced pickleball instruction that goes on in the summertime. Christmas Village would fall under this category here, and a few more. Reaching out to other towns and cities to see what they do. This is one that's used quite often. And then there's staff instructed programs. This staff, volunteer staff. We had one program that was line dancing. That was a volunteer staff. That was lovely. It was great. We provided the liability insurance, and they came in and they line danced, and it was awesome. The program grew so much that parking became a big issue. And then during Christmas Village, they had to find a new venue for that month, and then turns out that venue had more parking, and that went. And we love Christmas Village, right? We are so proud to support and host this program. It's going on 50 years next year. We're thrilled about this. When we talk about our challenges, there are 4 months that are premium indoor months for the gym, and one of them we are closed. So that does affect a little bit of who we can bring in, and when we're trying to just get that year after year program coming through. The last way is paid staff. This is a lot of our special events were run by paid staff, but those paid staff, that's us right here, right? So we're doing the programs and stuff. One of our goals is to find instructors and create a team of instructors, just like staffing any and everywhere. Finding a qualified person that we can afford is a challenge. But another challenge we're excited about is the Laconia Pumpkin Fest. We're going to knock this out of the park, and we're really thrilled about it.
I have stickers for you, though. Have you all gotten a sticker yet for Pumpkin Fest? Excellent. I have treats. So Pumpkin Fest is going to be huge. It's already started to take up a lot of time and effort, and it's going to be 100% worth it. And so, fabulous challenge. To get to the actual budget numbers, Weirs Beach, 4 o'clock in the morning, just so you know. So on page 68 of your book is our actual budget lines. We were given a number to stick to. I stuck to it. You're welcome. I knew it was going to be a challenging year. Even with that, it did need to get cut a little bit. I didn't increase in this line tremendously at all. I did stick with the 2%, which does not include salaries, so keep that in mind. So there's really not a lot of growth here at all. The one that did grow is under the facilities, the next page under page 69. That would be City Hall, Community Center, and the Police Department. Those went up mostly in the outside contracts, and the reason for that is the janitorial service and the HVAC services. They've all gone up, and our hands are kind of tied there. We kind of have to pay them. So that's where the increases have come in my budget completely. CIP requests, these are the 10 that we had asked for. And these two, the top and the bottom, are the ones that are getting funded. The one on the top is we're gonna be using impact fees for. That's commercial turf care equipment. Mowers,
And the bottom one is the Weirs Fire Station, Community Center roof replacement.
Yeah, and that one's coming out of the general fund. So these are the ones that you were able to fund. I understand we have budget constraints, and these aren't going away though. So I'll be back next year with the same list, minus 2 things. But we completely understand where things are going and how things are going, and we get what we get, right? We love it. And there might be another avenue for impact fees if possible. If I have extra in the impact fees, I might be able to get another one off this list. But I'll come to you later for that. And we're on to questions.
Counselor Susie.
Amy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Lifeguards.
Lifeguards, yes.
This is a subject that comes up every year. We have a very hard time recruiting. Is that because of our wage scale?
I don't believe it's because of our wage scale. One of the unique things about us is that Matt over here is an instructor. Matt goes and gets instructed every 2 years so that he can actually teach our lifeguards to become lifeguards, which is a huge benefit to the city because we don't have to have them pay for themselves, which is $450. That's a savings to each person if they wanted to use that. However, we've had it for a number of years. We still have a very difficult time staffing for lifeguards. I believe this year we can't even do Bond Beach with lifeguards. It used to be we had 3 lifeguards at Bond Beach. One would guard, one would be off, and the other would be up at the top, making sure the people who came in were residents and had their resident sticker. And then they switch off during the day, just so you're on target when you're down at the beach. We're not even able to do that this year.
It's hard for me to put my arms around it, but here we are, call ourselves City of the Lakes, and we can't get lifeguards. Do we offer swimming lessons this year?
We're trying. We might get an instructor who can do it. We found somebody. It's just finding an actual instructor program to teach them how to do it.
I hope we can do it, because
I
that's
agree.
one thing that I hear about
Yep, I agree.
repeatedly.
That would be a huge thing for us.
It's just hard for me to get my arms around that when I see neighboring towns are staffed,
Yep.
and we're not.
I think we're competitive in our wage. And so it's not, Weirs Beach is a lot different than, we'll call our neighboring town out, Guilford Beach. You know, they're resident only. They can control what's going on at their beach, and we
Right.
don't have that.
Bond Beach, we have Opeachy.
Bond Beach is pretty easy to guard.
Okay, and I'm looking at swimming lessons for most, for the kids, younger
Yep.
kids.
I agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes. Amy, Matt, historically, the city used to put, if my memory serves me right, and I know it does, at least $25,000 a year in playground equipment. And I notice now it's in half. So I can't imagine $12,000 buys a lot.
It does not. It's where I was able to get, but my hope with that was to make it a revolving account. So if I didn't use that 12,000, I keep it going, and so when I do have something that needs replacing, I have that
Yeah, but
stockpile.
the other 13 would even help and go a little.
Listen, from
And
your
that
lips,
might be
I'm
a
telling you,
place-
but
And that might be a
Noted.
place to use impact fees. Because the kids go to the playground.
they sure do. Yep. Next year is going up then. You heard
Okay,
it.
thank you, Mayor.
Counselor?
Thank you. 2 questions, if I may. The first question is the lights at Memorial Field. Anytime an outside organization flips the switch, it's like $500 to their account just to flip the switch, not including the electricity it uses. Is there any thoughts of the future of looking at that lighting system that is older than Methuselah to maybe bring it into the current year?
That would be lovely, and it is on my CIP, further down the years. However, it won't impact that $500, and you're being very kind with that $500.
I know.
Because I believe it's more like $1,000. That's a one-time fee. If you turn our field lights on before 8 p.m., we get a demand fee from our Eversource. It's not something they can change. So our youth sports have to wait until after 8 p.m., and some youth sports can't do that because it's in the middle of the fall and it's 6:30 when it's dark and you need it. So they have no choice but to use those, turn them on. It does only happen once, but then they're charged the fee. It's not something that we can control, that's Eversource. And it's not something that's going to change if we update our lighting, because the same thing happens at Robbie Mills, and that's newer.
Okay. And if I may, second question, thank you. Your current facility on Union Ave, the community center, at what point do you think you're gonna outgrow, or have you outgrown the facility as a community center in practicality?
In practicality, it's not very practical. It's 60% storage right now. It's an old armory, it's a gym. and a racquetball court, and we have a conference room for people, youth sports, adult sports, to come in and have their registrations and whatnot. It is not, it's not conducive to what we would like to see, you know, art classes, music classes, dance classes, aerobics classes, that kind of thing. It's not something that it's not suitable for that. It's also almost 100 years old, I'd like it known. She's 98 now. But, you know, she's showing wear and tear. Her pipes are original, and those are making note to show themselves as not so sturdy any longer. So we are getting to a point where I'm going to start asking. It was in the budget this year, the CIP request to do a design, which of course didn't come through, and that's okay. It was a design, but it's getting this conversation started. So that's the good thing. Thank you for asking.
And just to jump on that, line dancing left because they grew up too many people and they didn't have enough parking. Pickleball was getting really tight until more spaces opened up, but those are spaces that we couldn't capitalize on just because of space. There was a boxing event there on Saturday, and they rented, they didn't rent, but they like communicated really well with the parking, but that parking has been an issue for other areas. I mean, I'm talking about like parking at AutoZone or Rite Aid or the church across the street. Yeah, it's an old building that is it's tough, and there is a lot of demand for indoor space in the Lakes region, especially in the winter. We'll get a number of inquiries, and you know we're shut down. We're locked up for 4 months there with things going on, but I think there's definitely an opportunity in this area for a large indoor space.
Did you have a budget number in mind for starting the design phase on that? I know it was on your CIP list, but
Did I? I didn't put it on here. I have it though.
just curious what it would take to get the ball rolling on this.
So what I had was 75,000 for a design phase,
More than a little.
more than a little.
Okay, thank you.
Have you looked into the wellness center?
The one that burned or the one?
Burned.
No.
Got a pool?
Used to have a pool.
Yeah. You might
No, I
look-
have not.
You might look and see what they want for it, you know, what it would cost to.
There isn't a gym in there. There would be a pool, that'd be great, and some workout
You
facilities and stuff.
still have a
but-
gym over at the,
Yeah,
So keep the community center as is
yeah.
and
Double up.
increase. We can look into it, yeah?
yeah, just, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
your
all.
work.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
With no further business on the budget anyway, I'd like to adjourn City of Laconia City Council budget meeting at 6:58 PM, and we'll open up the general meeting in 2 minutes.